I went to thread this machine and discovered the take-up spring on the tensioner here is snapped off. So I'm going to have to open this up and get a new tensioner spring in there. So there was upright, there's a set screw from the top that holds the tensioner in place. Otherwise the tensioner can rotate freely. There's the spot from the set screw. And then on the bottom of the tensioner it's got this latch that moves out of the way, and that way you can unscrew the nut here from the back. So nylon nut, our tension spring, there is a clip, retainer clip holding that in place. Wow, this is a very complex tensioner. Alright. Try and get this . There we go. Pushed on both edges of that retainer, and now that popped off the back side, and this assembly slips off the front. Yep. I was worried, I was thinking about taking this front off, but I doubt there is a screw or anything under there. I think this knob is intentioned to permanently be on the stem. There's our two tension discs, and then this clip is retaining the spring in place. There we go. So, snap ring off, and here is that tension take-up spring. That's a goofy shaped tension spring. I'm gonna have to figure out where I might get one of those. Alright, well, time to go looking for parts, I guess. Okay, so we remember that I went to thread this JC Penney and discovered that the take-up spring for the tensioner here, the hook on it is was broken. So I found a similar size spring with a good hook on it that flips the same direction, and I've bent this around a little bit so that it fits in here, hooks on there, and it's got good flipping action there for to take this up. So although it looks like this is too tall, I need to shorten this because the this ridge is where this clip goes, and it needs to hold all that in, so I'll have to trim this spring down a couple coils so that it's short enough to go underneath this ridge. Trim this down so that it fits behind this clip that retains the spring. There. That clip is on there and keeping the spring in place. And now we get to put our 2 tension discs on facing. Two tension discs, and then in the back side here goes our spring. Not our spring yet. I forgot to put the clip on the back side to hold the stem in. So there's this little C-clip, and do I have a non-magnetized screwdriver for this? I do not. Oh, this is going to be an adventure. Let me get this clip on there. Alright, got the tiny clip on the back of this post, so now the tensioner doesn't pop apart. And now we can stick our tension spring in and put our So I put the lock on this nut, and I'm just turning the tensioner so that it's barely started to have any tension in it. And then I'm going to turn this over to the 0 tension and put our lock back in, and now turns around and tightens and loosens, and there's some wiggle in there, so that should be a 0-0. Very zero tension for us. Alright. I know that this arm, this old one, hid behind the dial, and this new one is longer on here, but I think this should work. But we'll see how it fits on the machine, and if I have to, I will modify that end. Okay, so I bent a new spring to stick in this tensioner because when I went to stick it back in the machine here, this has to still, this has to push all the way in, and that other spring I bent was sticking out, and it didn't set as far in as it needed to. So to set this in, this slot here where the tension discs are, it has to get set in so that the tension discs align with everything. And then got that flat head set screw on the top here. And then I need to make sure that, yep, when I lift the tension, or lift the button, it pops out. And now with that take-up spring replaced, should be able to thread this and test it.